All right, so for this example, we're going to find the exact value of the given expression here. So what we're told is we are given that we have cosine of alpha is equal to negative 2/5 in quadrant 2. We're given that we have sine beta is equal to negative 3/7 in quadrant 4. And we are asked to find secant of alpha plus beta. So we're going to do a sum formula here. So secant alpha plus beta. Now, if you take a look, or if you know a little bit about the sum and difference formulas for sine, cosine, tangent, we don't necessarily have one already written out for secant, but what we can use here to help us out is what we do know is that secant is equal to 1 over cosine. Now, we have a formula to take the sum of cosine alpha plus beta, that's right over here. Cosine A plus B is cosine U times cosine B minus sine U times sine V. So in order to find secant of alpha plus beta, what we're going to do is, since secant equals 1 over cosine, we are going to do 1 over cosine of alpha plus beta, and we're going to calculate that. So that means that we need to figure out what is cosine of alpha plus beta. We need to figure that out first. Our solution is going to be 1 over that. In order to find cosine of A plus B here, or alpha plus beta, again, cosine U times cosine V. So we're going to just say that cosine alpha is going to be our U, and we're just going to see that beta is going to be our V. So what we really need here is we need cosine of alpha times cosine of beta minus sine alpha times sine beta. All right, now we're told that cosine alpha is equal to negative 2/5 in quadrant 2. So quadrant 2 is this quadrant right over here. And since cosine is SOHCAHTOA, again, adjacent over hypotenuse, that means that negative 2/5 adjacent is this part right here. So that's our negative 2/5 for our hypotenuse. We need to use Pythagorean's theorem in order to find the missing side of the triangle here. So that would give us, well, 5 squared is equal to negative 2 squared plus b squared. When we calculate all of this, we're going to end up with 25 minus a 4, which is a 21 is equal to b squared. Take the square root of each side, and b is equal to the square root of 21. That's going to be this missing side right over there. And we need to calculate this triangle here, because in order to plug into our formula over here, we not only need cosine of alpha, but we need sine of alpha here. So we have cosine of alpha. Sine alpha then would be, well, sine is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. So sine, if we go in reference to our angle, opposite is over here, square root of 21, over our hypotenuse, which is a 5. So we have sine alpha as the square root of 21 over 5. We're going to pause on this side of things, because in order to wrap up our formula, we also need to know sine beta and cosine beta. All right, so we need to know cosine beta and sine beta here. We were given sine beta, so we need to find what is cosine of beta. So we're going to do a similar thing. We are told that sine beta is equal to negative 3/7 in quadrant 4. So quadrant 4 is this quadrant right over here, with that being our angle. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So since sine is negative 3/7, our opposite is going to be right here. That is down a negative 3. Our hypotenuse is going to be the 7th. So again, Pythagorean's theorem, we have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared here. That means a squared is going to equal to 49 minus a 9 here. So that when we take our square root here of each side, again, we're left with a squared is equal to 40. Taking the square root of each side, well, the square root of 40, when we simplify that, when we reduce that, we do get 2 square roots of 10. So we're going to input that right over here, 2 square roots of 10, in order to calculate cosine. Keep in mind that cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent is the 2 square roots of 10 over our hypotenuse of a 7. Now that we know what sine and cosine of alpha, sine, cosine of beta are, now it's going to be a matter of plugging into our formula here. So we know that cosine alpha plus beta is going to equal to, or cosine alpha, which is a negative 2/5, times cosine beta, which is the 2 square roots of 10 over 7, minus our sine alpha, square root of 21 over 5, times our sine beta, which is going to be the negative 3/7 there. So we want to go ahead and calculate this a little bit here. In our numerator, we're going to get a negative 4 square roots of 10 over 35, minus, or plus actually, right, minus a negative here is going to make that a plus 3 square roots of 21 over 35. Go ahead and add that together. Since we do have common denominators, we are getting a negative 4 square roots of 10 plus 3 square roots of 21. Now keep in mind that this is what cosine of alpha plus beta is equal to. So we need to find secant, and we know that secant is equal to 1 over cosine. So really the way that this correlates, 1 over the cosine, which was the negative 4 square roots of 10 plus 3 square roots of 21 over 35. So again, secant is 1 over cosine. We calculated the cosine formula. Now we just need to simplify this here and wrap this up. Doing this division, this is going to turn this into a 35 over the negative 4 square roots of 10 plus 3 square roots of 21. So then now we just need to simplify this, and when we simplify this here, we're going to be left with a 35 in our numerator, and actually this line right over here, the negative 4 square roots of 10 plus 3 square roots of 21, I'm actually going to switch that order here. I'm going to write it 3 square roots of 21 minus 4 square roots of 10. We're left with, we need to simplify this fraction here. We're almost done, right? This is almost our solution here. The only thing that we need to worry about at this point here is we do need to rationalize this denominator. So let's work on doing that next. Rationalizing the denominator, we are going to multiply numerator and denominator by the conjugate here, which is going to be 3 square roots of 21 plus 4 square roots of 10. And again, we're going to multiply top and bottom by that in order to simplify this out. Now in the numerator, we're going to keep that multiplied. Let's just keep that 35 times 3 square roots of 21 plus 4 square roots of 10. And our denominator here, when we multiply this, again, we're going to have a 3 times a 3, which is a 9. Square root of 21 times square root of 21 is a 21 there. Our next two multiplications are going to cancel out because we're going to have a plus 12 here and then a minus 12 of the radical. Right, so plus and minus is going to cancel that out, leaving us with our end multiplication here, which would be a minus 4 times 4 is 16. Square root of 10 times square root of 10 is a 10. When we simplify that denominator, so first let's move over to the numerator, 35 times 3 square roots of 21 plus 4 square roots of 10. And when we calculate this bottom line over here, we are going to be left with a 29. Therefore, leaving us with our solution here for our secant of alpha plus beta.